Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indigo Research webinar today. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending where you're joining us today. I am joining in from London. Our esteemed guest speaker today, Camilla, I think she's joining us in Italy, but I'll ask her later when she joins in. But I'm very excited. As you all know, signing up for this webinar, we have invited our star student, Camilla, to really share her experience, not just about research, but about her college applications. She's been extremely successful this year applying to college. I think right now she's gotten about 14 universities acceptance. And I'm really excited because Camilla is someone that is very humble. She don't tend to kind of brag about her achievements. And I think today is a great way to really leverage her experience and help our students who are joining in today to really understand what made her so successful in her application to the top universities, both across US and UK. On the next slide, just a bit of housekeeping before we moved on. We are hoping to make sure that our session today is as interactive as possible. So by the end of the session, myself and Camilla will be answering questions live. So if you kind of wiggle your mouse, at the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to see a Q&A box. And if you click in there, you'll be able to type in your questions. Before you type any questions, it's also worth checking if there's any other questions that has already been raised that are similar to what you're going to ask. So you can upvote those and we make sure we get to those that with most upvote as well. If you've got any technical issues or anything that you need help with that are not questions, feel free to message us on the chat box. Then our very helpful Alyssa will be able to get to you. Awesome. On the next slide, just a bit about our agenda today. Obviously, we'll have Camilla share her story, who she is, her secrets, and her tips to how she became so successful in her college application, getting multiple Ivy Leagues acceptance. And also, we'll also help you understand why research experience has become such an important and integral part of the admission process, and a step-by-step guide to helping you understand how can you complete your own independent research paper. Then we'll help you understand how Indigo can come in and potentially support you through this journey. And we are also currently recruiting for some researchers for our summer program. So we'll talk a bit more about the recruitment process, and we'll also have a Q&A process at the end of the session. For those who are joining us today for the first time and are not familiar with who Indigo is, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Indigo to you. We are global premier academic research mentorship provider, and we offer high school student and also college student the unique opportunity to produce independent research projects under the mentorship of university professors and faculties. Our mission here is to be the launch pad that equips young students to compete on the world stage through academic research. On the next slide, you'll be able to see we have over 200 mentors in our Indigo connection. And our goal is really to nurture students' passion through publishable work and really allow students to expand their intellectual curiosity outside of the traditional high school restrictions and be able to present themselves as a serious scholar in the college application process. And not to mention, the program is credited by UCSB, so it's a great way to also demonstrate to college that you've done a college level program. A bit about myself, I'm your host today. You can call me Lam, or if you're joining from Hong Kong, you can call me Hiu Lam. I'm a senior academic advisor here at Indigo Research. I did some of my education in Hong Kong, but I did my A-levels in a UK boarding school and also completed my psychology bachelor degree at UEA as well. I've so far supported over 60 students to get into top universities in US and UK, including Cambridge, Penn, Berkeley, UCLA, and all of these wonderful schools. As to our esteemed guest speaker today, I'm very excited to welcome Camilla. She is originally from Italy and she was applying actually this year. So everything that she's sharing with us today is going to be very timely and up to date. She just a bit of kind of a preamp about her research experience. She actually ended up publishing a book available on Amazon. So we'll send out an email afterwards. So if you want to go check it out or maybe buy the book, feel free to support Camilla. Her focus is in biology in the STEM field, and she's been accepted, like I mentioned, to I think 14 universities. But Camilla, feel free to correct me if the numbers have changed. But these include Cornell, Penn, Imperial, Berkeley, I think Johns Hopkins as well, which is one of the universities that she's also considering. But yeah, I'm gonna not tell you too much about her so that we can leave it to Camilla to talk a bit more about her experience and who she is. But before we start, I'm quite curious to know what is your dream school? So I'm gonna launch a poll on the screen. If you can, it's not a poll actually. If you can let us know what university you are kind of aiming at, or maybe if it's an aspirational dream school that you have in mind, we'd love to know what this school is if you just type it in. Awesome. I'm going to leave this on the screen. I've noticed quite a few of you already answered, and I'd like to welcome Camilla.
So I'm Camilla, basically, as probably you've already understood that.
Yes.
I'm currently based in Italy. Today was my final day at school, but I will have to do my final exams next week. But over that, yes, probably I am really, really engaged in this world, especially the one of college apps. And I'm really thankful for everything, for what Indigo Crimson help me to do right now. So the number of colleges is 18 right now.
18. Oh my
18
God.
acceptances and waiting for other four hopefully in the wait list. But over that, yes, this is a really great achievement, and I am so eager to share with you right now and today. And thank you very much, of course, for this opportunity that I'm absolutely great to take today. And currently Camilla is a girl, is a teenager. Well, I'm a sort of really strange teenager right now because I really like maybe like too much reading, too much studying, but at the same time I'm a nurse writer, so I'm a crazy person inside, as you will see later. And that's me. That I am a big dreamer. I have always had this magical desire of studying abroad, especially in United States universities, but I decided also to apply to UK universities as well because it was really great opportunity for me also because of course considering that UK is more near that US. Of course, my parents would have appreciated that. But after when US also admissions came in, I started considering more US. But over that, I got really great admissions also in UK. And probably talking about academics, UK is really focused on research. So absolutely, this boosted my chances a lot. Um, I decided, of course, to embark into this journey. It was my dream, but not only. It was also something that I heard inside, something that I had to do. I'm so based in Italy right now. I'm from Verona, so from the northern part of Italy, and decided to include this in my personal essay. You know that for US applications, you need to write a personal essay describing yourself as a person. What exactly US universities want to know is who you are. So I mentioned them that I grew up in the city of Romeo and Juliet. Basically, that's where I am from. And basically, probably this story was really appreciated. I think so. And this is why I'm here today. But I'm here today especially to describe what Indigo helped me to do and what we did together and how I achieved this fantastic, in my opinion, results that still now it's really hard for me to believe in that, to believe in all those applications and admissions, but I'm absolutely glad to share them with you and share, of course, this experience.
Wonderful. So, the first question I want to ask you is with your college application, obviously it's a very personal process because you're talking everything about yourself. You're pouring, years of experience into it. So, in this process of college application, what was very important for you to show to the colleges that you were applying to really demonstrate through the experience and the activities you've done in high school?
So this is a really important question, especially because the main focus of any like universities from Ivy, but also from any kind of universities like Caltech as well. I think that the most important part is who you are, but at the same time also describing that all you did in your high school, so while you were at high school, was focused on your desire, on your like what you are gonna do in the future. This doesn't mean that everything that you've done must be focused on already your interests. Because
Mhm.
of course, when you are at high school, like at the beginning of high school, I was sure I would have studied economics. Instead, I'm here that I'm gonna do like a pre-med course, especially. So, of course, minds, ideas can change really rapidly, and what instead I was able, but we were able, thanks of course to my tutors and everyone with me, were able to show is my vocation. I usually call that, I usually call it vocation, like something that you have inside yourself, something that you are able to show to all the universities that are eager to help you
Hmm.
with them, so that you can continue your studies with them, is to show your true absolutely passions, and that you're gonna take those passions at college as well. And so what I did to do that basically was to create different programs, create programs, create websites with the goal of helping students to understand the college application process, but at the same time doing research with my help, with the Indigo support, with the Crimson support, and also to publish their research online. And the first thing I did, of course, as well, was the process of publishing a book. Of course, this happened quite sadly, because I wasn't really sure, and especially I didn't know that it was possible to publish a book at my age, especially without considering editors and so on. But this is what Indigo illuminated me to do, especially my tutor Jonathan, that I will talk about him later. And I already have, like, most part of the time, the vocation is something that is focused, has several like things inside, like,
Hmm.
my vocation was to, and is, like, to cure cancer, heal the world, but at the same time to work in the field of genetics, to have my mom at the same time in neuro problems that she's affecting as well. So, there are really thousands of things. And what Jonathan and Indigo helped me to do was to concise them, to create a linear plot. And this is another thing that college wants you to do, to be extremely concise, because they don't have like all day to read your own
Mm.
application, but they have thousands of applications to consider. So an important thing is to be concise, to show who you are, especially not tell what you have done, but show you as a person with thousands of interests, and that you are extremely eager to take those interests to the top universities.
Wonderful. Camilla, if we were to take a step back, right, how did you initially, because I hear you mention that initially we were focusing on economics, right? How did you figure out, oh, actually, my interest is more so in pre-med, in, biology side of things?
So basically, this was quite complex. I come from a family that is all focused on economics. Both my parents
Mm.
are economists, instead my brother is studying journalism. So we are completely different. And
Hmm.
during COVID-19, I remember that we were all forced to take online classes, especially,
Yeah.
I mean, in Italy, of course, this happened. So we had to take online classes.
Hmm.
And I remember that while I was attending class via computer, so online,
Hmm.
it was a genetic class. And while I was attending this lecture and at the same time studying, because I was like doing both things all together, so in order
Hmm.
not to waste time, and I started to think about my future. So I was attending the second year of high school. In Italy,
Hmm.
there are 5 years of high school. So now currently I'm at the final year. I'm attending the final year of high school. I've finished today. And an important thing that I started to ask to myself was, how am I able to help the world?
Mm.
So probably, sometimes a lot of people that, because maybe in Italy this happens, maybe people that want to do a job, they consider, what can I have from that job? Maybe
Hmm.
they consider money, they consider what kind of life they are gonna do, and so on. And so,
Yeah.
like, my main question initially, so the first question I asked myself was, what can I do to help the world?
Mm.
I think that's something that was considered in a really good way by colleges, of
Hmm.
course, but also by myself. And I started, and during that lecture, especially that I was attending,
Hmm.
the teacher was explaining, the professor was explaining the DNA replication, so everything about genetics and so on. And I was extremely fascinated by all those so precise process that were
Hmm.
happening inside our bodies, and how our body was so perfect somehow. But at the same time that there could happen some mutations, and the mutation causes cancer, so on. And I found out that in books there weren't answers. I found out that the answers were that there weren't answers, that
Mm,
the cure is not present. And I was like, no,
mm,
this can't be right.
mm,
This can happen. And this is how my vocation happened. I want to write those part of the books, those missing
mm.
part. And so that it started with this was my goal, I think. And
Wow.
from that moment, I started focusing, especially writing, reading thousands of books, especially focused on that topic. But at the same time, having several research experience. I went to Houston Methodist. As you see, my face here was extremely happy. So probably people could say that I'm crazy because I'm happy while I'm studying cancer. That cancer is
Yeah.
the first cause of death in the world. But at the same time, I'm happy because I know that I'm doing something good for everyone, for the world as well. And another important thing that I was able to understand doing research, thanks to Indigo, is that probably not only marital research is important, not only doing research, not only writing a paper, but at the same time being able to experience those things that you are studying, especially
Yeah.
like for example, cancer, for example, like I don't know, all the MD parts, so all the clinical parts, starting from children
Yeah.
to elderly people, and so on. So this is why right now I'm more focused on the MD and PhD track after university. So the pre-med, but also the PhD part, of course.
Ah, okay. So initially you were thinking you just want to sit in a research lab and just,
Exactly.
do research. And now after the research project, you've decided actually you want to be able to see patients.
Exactly. This is exactly what happened. So, also thanks to Indigo, but also thanks to all my experience, I understood that the early research is absolutely important. It's wonderful, but after some time, I think that after some time you lose your focus. So
Mm,
why are you doing that? And this is what I was
mm,
able to do at Methodist Research, but also Harvard Summer School. So I
yeah.
was able to see the eyes of patients. I was able to see
Mm,
why I was studying those topics. And
mm.
this is what I want to do also in the future as well. I want to link the concept of med, so the concept of working with patients, seeing their highs, and after that, working on the research in order to help and heal them.
Wow, absolutely. I think you're made for this job. You're very passionate, and Camilla, I can just tell that you're a very caring person as well. You want to be able to not just, focus on the scientific part of it, but you also want to be able to communicate what you're doing to the patient themselves. And um, hoping to understand a bit better about kind of the whole process, right? Who are these people, or what has kind of supported you through this journey of, developing your own understanding of what you're interested in and developing a profile that university is looking for and then preparing your college application.
So, of course, as an international student, it's really complex to know all the things that all universities, especially the U.S. and U.K.
Mm,
universities, are looking for. Especially because, for example, in Italy, usually in order to be admitted in university, you only need to take a test. If you
yeah.
pass, basically you are admitted. If you don't pass, you aren't. And instead, in US universities and UK, this is completely different. So instead, you have to write thousands of essays, publish something, do extracurriculars, be
Mm,
great at sports if you are, of course, or at the same time help your peers creating website. I mean, doing thousands of things. So how I was able to do that? Thanks to a fantastic team that helped me. So about like, for example, I was at like Crimson Education. Crimson Education is a platform that helped me a lot, providing me tutors for essays, for looking to the right college, routing to the right colleges for me. They were all advisors about college applications, both in UK and US. So they helped me with essays. They helped me with all the tests. So we are talking about
mhm,
ACT, BMAT, yeah, IELTS for me. So the one for the language level, of course, of English. And at the same time with applications, so the process of all applications coming up, or UCAS for UK, or UC if you are eager to apply to UC, to California University, or MIT, which has like a different platform. So all those like platforms, and same time the ECLs, especially. So the one that was specifically dedicated to creating the perfect page for extracurriculars for me, because they need to be written in a specific form with a specific number of words and so on. And then of course the research and publication thanks to Indigo Research. So the importance of publishing as well. So if you have so big dreams, you need really to work hard, but at the same time, you as a single person, you can't achieve those goals alone, in my opinion. In my opinion, because as an international student, you aren't merely, you don't know anything about this. I didn't know anything about all those processes, and I was really astonished by knowing all those processes, and at the same time finding this really good help, and a help that was extremely valuable. But also after all like the admission so on, I can recognize, of course, this big help as really valuable for me.
Wonderful. Something that I'm quite curious to find out, Camilla, is this is also something that I only just realized the other day. I thought you came to Indigo with the exact focus of, okay, I want to publish a book, but turns out it's not actually the case. So why did you decide to publish a book, and how did that idea even came about in the first place?
So actually, initially, I didn't know what to do with my 10 hours with Indigo, because I decided with my parents to be helped to find a team that was able to fulfill my dreams, my
Yes.
really, really difficult dreams that I have, of
Yeah.
course. And after that, I was offered this 10 hours with Indigo as well. So initially, I didn't know how to use them, how to use this hours. So I met with my tutor initially. My tutor was Jonathan Felix. So you can find as a PhD candidate at UC San Diego. We met recently, like 1 week ago as well. So we are still in contact because he is helping me with the college application also as well, and the college decision right now, because I'm in a crucial phase right now, of course, like deciding which is the best college for me. So we are still in contact, in absolutely great relationship. We have more or less the same interests. So we are a bit nerdy, but the same in bio. And so we understand each other. So, but at the same time, I was really helped by him, because initially also he was like, what can we do together? So the initial phase was, okay, let's write a paper. Let's try to publish something on a journal online. That could be AGSHR, or maybe there are like several other, or it was like the John Locke essay competitions, or another STEM Next essay competitions, that we work also together on those essays as well. And I got also, for example, for John Locke, I got like one of the finalists. Although the main question was something about philosophy, but we were able like to interlink that with bio and with ethics. So, I was really supporting that initially. Especially I was more focused on like using my 10 hours for competitions. So for the STEM Next essay competitions, the biogenesis Olympiads or something like that. But after a while, I had like this title, the title of The Genetics of Races. This is the title of my book that after I published was in my mind, has been in my mind since I was like 15 years old, since I understood which was my vocation. Because, the concept of races, the concept of ethics, and same time the interlink with the biology and with genetics was something that I was really interested in. And I told this to Jonathan. So what can we do together about this? So it was like, okay, so try to write something about this, and after we can understand how to use this, and how to use your work, to use your idea in order to create maybe a paper to publish later. But when something interests me a lot, I tend to write too much because, you know, you find that info, that other one, that
Mm,
really interesting stuff, and so on. And after like 1 week, I wrote 20 pages. And so Jonathan was like, okay, this is like too long for a research, for basically like a research or a paper. And so
yeah,
it was, we were wondering what to do.
yeah.
And Jonathan came up with, but why don't we publish a book? And I was
Mm,
like, you know, it's quite complex. Like a year, like I mean, in Italy to publish a book, and especially for the book I was writing, because
mm-hmm,
it was like a biology STEM book and something like that.
yeah,
So, you know, you need to find the right editor,
mm,
especially a scientific editor.
yeah.
And but it started illuminated like me, like say, but we can use Amazon. And I was like,
Mm.
what? And so it showed me all the process of the Amazon publication. Of
Mm-hmm,
course, they have before the publication, they have to accept your book. They have to accept the font of your book, the images, the bibliography, and all that stuff. But it
mm-hmm,
is like a process that you can do. And so after that, after we open like our mind and say, okay, we can publish a book,
mm-hmm,
I was like, okay, I can write whatever I want, and especially how many pages I want. This was the most important part. And so this is how it happened, basically. So I started writing a lot. I started finding thousands of info. Also, Jonathan helped me in that, helped me in finding the right info, the right websites,
mm,
the right tools, the right books that I have, and all like all a part of the desk is with all like those books.
yeah.
And I really enjoyed reading them. And this is how it happened basically. And what Jonathan helped me also to do is that I was, you know, when you have a white page, like a white page to, and you need to start writing, you
Mm-hmm,
are a bit in a mess. So what to write,
mm,
how to write. I had thousands of ideas, like
mm-hmm,
talking about this. What Jonathan helped me to do was to create instead a flowing chapters,
mm,
creating a story in my book, because
yeah.
otherwise it was a full mess, really good ideas, but a bit in a mess, a bit in like a total, of course, like different concepts, but not interlinked together. Is that
Mm,
Jonathan was able to help me creating this like linear story. And basically my book, like from the history of genetics, of the concept of races,
mm,
then focuses on the basics that are on the basics of races and how they basically do not exist genetically
mm,
speaking, finally handling with why races are considered, and especially which are the specific diseases that affect specific races according to climate, according to the environment in which people live. So creating this flowing, creating this really good chapters, and at the same time a good book was a fundamental part in this process. Over that, of course, Crimson with all the other part with the application support, and Indigo, of course, with the research and all the tutors that both Indigo and Crimson um, provide me.
Wonderful. I actually love hearing this story because now knowing that, you wanted to study biology to provide answers, right? To cure and stuff. And you've ended up writing a book, which is a way to communicate these answers to a wider audience. It is fantastic that you're already starting to do this without even having gone to college just yet. So I'm only very excited for you to know what you'll be going on to achieve once you get to college and graduate and go to postgraduate school. What I'm quite interested in, and I'm sure a lot of other students joining me today is also interested in, so how did you leverage your book, your research experience, and demonstrate that on your college application? At what kind of component, what type of kind of question they asked did you mention about your research in your book?
Absolutely. This is something that I worked with my ECL mentor, with Crimson, basically.
Mm,
So Jonathan was the main, like, you know, we in Italian usually say the end and the mind.
yeah.
The hand is say like the practical one, and was absolutely Jonathan. And then the mind of that was my ECL mentor at Indigo, Hassan. We worked together in order to add this fantastic thing that I was able to do in basically 6 months. So from April to October of last year. So basically, I started writing during summer, during of course September, April, May, because I wanted the book to be published before the
Mm,
application process, so I was able
yeah.
to add it in the activity list and all like the stuff that you find in the college app. So
Yeah.
what are you going what you as students are you going like to do, but especially to see in your college applications, and how I was able to add my book. So firstly, in the activities list, you have 10 activities to cover. You aren't forced to write 10 activities, but of course it's highly recommended. And I put this as a publication part. This is something that all colleges are really looking for. Especially another thing that I haven't mentioned, I think, is that helped me to reflect. 2 days ago, I was at Caltech. Jonathan wrote for me recommendation letter as well for Caltech, because Caltech asked also for publications especially and research. So Caltech, I remember in the application has, if you have any research, any papers that you wrote, we want those like resources, everything that you wrote, and especially we want also a recommendation letter from your like tutor that helped you to do those. And Jonathan helped me to do that. Jonathan helped me to write this recommendation letter. He sent it to Caltech, and it described the book. It described also all the process that we did together. And I've been a meeting to Caltech. So this is something that I wanted, of course, to explain to you. And another important thing is that they told me that this year the admission rate was the lowest ever, with only 215 students admitted, and all of them did research basically. So they were really focused on this part this year, and I wanted to share this with you today because it's something that I learned 2 days ago, and I think that it is really important, of course, for this meeting in order to show all the process and how it happened and how publishing our research is really important, especially during high school for college later. Then the interview, and communication with admission officer. So I've been contacted by 3 or 4 universities in order to have an interview with them, for example, with Princeton, with Yale, and other. And of course, I shared my transformative experience in this during these interviews. So they asked me, but have you had any like research publication? I mentioned this, and they were really interested in, especially the topic, of course, because it is not only a matter of publishing something, it is a matter of what are you going to publish, because it's different, of course, writing a poetry that is absolutely great if you are going to apply to something humanistic, because this is what basic colleges are looking for. So that already at high school you show interest for what you're gonna do in the future. Is that talking about this, like my book that interlinks somehow politics with ethics, with science, with history. So finding an interesting topic as well is really important. Then I had it, of course, in my supplementary essay in the additional info part, because in the Common App you have a part dedicated to your additional info, and I wanted really to explain in 5 lines, 5 sentences, because you have to be extremely concise, the topics of my book. And then in the UCAS personal statement. UCAS personal statement is a statement in which basically UK universities are able to understand everything about you. So you need to really write a perfect essay, because that's unfortunately that like what UK universities are looking for is be concise, and especially in one essay you need really to show you who you are. And I was able to write in 2 lines that I was able to write this book, and this really shaped me as a person, because thanks to that I was able to understand what I'm going to do. So of course research, but at the same time hands-on experience, so the part of medical, at the same time the part of MD, and the part of interlinking also bio with the society that surrounds me.
Absolutely wonderful. I think there's another slide to go on, but you've already covered that, haven't you?
Yeah, so you can find this part of the UC's application. So from Berkeley, UCLA, so I added in as an extracurricular activity, the journalism and the publication, so in the part of the Common App, and then these are some of the universities got a meeting too.
Wonderful. Last thing to ask you before we finish is, what is your future plan? What do you think the future holds for you?
Oh, my future plans. I'm in a total mess right now because I need to decide basically. So you can find me there with my sweater of pen, but unfortunately I say no to pen because now I'm looking for to my top choices right now, and the one I'm looking right now for, especially are Caltech and Johns Hopkins. For what basically I'm gonna do in the future, I think, especially like looking, surfing the internet, but at the same time going there, visiting campus, people, and so on. I think that they are like the perfect choices for me. But of course, I need to find out right now which is
Yeah.
the most perfect one. But over that, my plans are to do firstly the undergrad in molecular and cell biology with a minor probably in math and bioengineering because I've never left math. Math has always been a part of my mind, part of my life, and at the same time all the skills that I acquired thanks to Indigo, thanks to Crimson, so how to write essays, how to publish books, basically how find info resources, how to create concise how to put all my ideas in a concise way, create flowing topics is something that it's absolutely valuable for college. It's something that I wouldn't be able like to acquire completely like alone, and I will continue, of course, in my academic pursuits at the top level. Hopefully, I really want to do the top of myself because this is really a wonderful opportunity that it was always and it is my dream, like to study abroad and especially to study in a place where my dreams can come true. So the dreams of doing so really great research without any limitations. Unfortunately, Italy, for from this point of view, it's not really
Mm,
great, especially for the world of math and the world of PhD, especially of research. And I
yeah.
know that UK and US are the top ones that basically research is like at the top level. And at the same time, all the skills I acquired help me to understand that research is a part and is the background of everything. So, how doctors are able to prescribe a drug, they are able to do that thanks to the research made under that. How
Mm,
that drug was able to be discovered thanks to a research. How immunotherapy, how everything linked with bio and so on, with
mm,
medicine was discovered thanks to research. But we can consider this also about economics, about humanities, because I'm attending a humanistic high school right now with also STEM, and how Hasa Greek was discovered thanks to the research, thanks to archaeology. So the desire of humans to dig, to find out, to dive deeper, is something that everyone must take with themselves,
mm.
and it's fundamental in order to find answers, and at the same time to find the way to, as like my vocation told me, to help heal the world. That's it.
Wonderful. And if any students right now, joining us and they're considering doing research, right? What advice would you give them?
Absolutely, to be yourself in every like situation. What colleges are looking for is who you are. So I'm a person, as all of you, I'm a person that I follow my interests, and
Mm,
I decided to write a book on that. But at the same time, I'm a crazy person that ride horses, jumps with horses, and falls on
mm,
horses, and out horses. So basically is to be yourself in never like situation. If you love art, if you I in several like essays also I taught about this humanistic part of myself.
mm,
Being admitted into the top universities doesn't mean that you need to be a robot. Basically,
mm,
they don't want that, because for example I applied to university showing that I'm not, although sometimes you can fall in this conception. I was really, of course, scared because, for international student, the admission rate is really low. But what I decided to do is to put all the effort I had, all the time I had, writing thousands of essays because
mm,
that's what you came up doing.
mm,
But after that is the most part of that is that when you have your vocation and when you are able to show that,
mm,
colleges are able to understand it,
mm,
and they were able with me to understand that. And so the first thing is to be a dreamer, if you dream that, you can do that. This is what happened with me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your word of advice, Camilla. Feel free to take a quick break, a water break, whilst I talk about this session. We'll bring you back in about, I guess, 5 minutes or so to do the live Q&A. Feel free to read the questions as well. But at this point, I want to invite everyone who is joining us today to meet with us and have a chat with us. Obviously, Camilla came to us with a very strong will and strong mind about what she wants to study, but not every student is like that. Sometimes it takes process, it takes time for you to figure out what is right for you and what your dream is. And so if you're not sure what type of topics you're wanting to discover or talk about in a research paper, or if you have a topic, but you don't know how to kickstart this process, I have launched a poll on the screen where you can respond to us to book in this consultation. At this consultation, there's a few things that we want to help you do. We want to help you understand if you have a very, general academic interest, how could that potentially translate into a research paper? What type of direction, what type of approach can we take? And on top of that, understanding about really yourself, how does that incorporate into your college application strategy? And of course, if this is part of the things that you want to discuss, we can also discuss how can we support your college application as well. And outside of that, we also talk a bit more about the logistics side of things in terms of the timeline. I understand students these days are very busy. So our goal is to accommodate you at where you're at, meet you where you're at, rather than the other way around. So I'm going to work out a roadmap for you. Exactly when are you ready to start and when are you hoping to finish? And then we can map out month by month, when do we do what with the research program. So I'm going to leave this on the screen just for a quick moment whilst I talk a bit more about the step-by-step guide to completing a research paper. If we go to the next slide, Melissa. Awesome. So the first thing obviously is about finding your interest. For some of you who have understanding to what your interest is, I think that's a great starting point. Oftentimes I always recommend students to look on New York Times, Science, Nature.com, Economist. And these are kind of top academic journals where a lot of kind of new topics in the subject area will be introduced. So if you click on a new session, you immediately be kind of immersed into that area and understand, okay, what type of topics are scientists, are economists currently talking about, and what interests me? So this is a great way to feel inspired in the first place. And once you understand, okay, this is the parameter that I'm interested in, this is where we start doing the preliminary work. So this includes refining the research question, learning the basics of conducting research, how to use search engines and do referencing, etc. Once we've got the foundation set, we start doing a bit more reading and literature review. So what this means is that we start looking into, the type of studies and research that has been done previously to give us a bit more of a background understanding of what is the landscape we're currently looking at with the topic that I've chosen. Then we'll start outlining your research paper, refining your question, and beginning really developing that prospectus and an outline of your argument, really, of that research paper. And then after that, we'll do a bit more of a literature review and we'll start doing the research part. So the research part is about doing either data analysis or maybe a quantitative analysis, qualitative analysis, and start kind of coming out with the results of whether or not the analysis that you've done supports or disagree with the hypotheses that you've set out. And then lastly, it comes to kind of really finalizing that paper and maybe submitting to a publication or maybe for a book publication, if that's what you get inspired by Camilla to do today. On the screen, I like to quickly show you what are the results that our students have been able to achieve. We've noticed that with universities, they put a more and more focus into students doing research experience during the high school time. And this is because academic research is a great way to demonstrate your academic niche outside of the restrictive curriculum, outside of an organized event or maybe a summer school that has got the curriculum set for you. What are you interested in studying if no one has told you, okay, this is what you're going to study? They like to see your initiative and your innovative being kind of immersed into that research paper, just like Camilla's did. She really demonstrated herself, her interest in biology when she wrote this book herself. And so with that, we've noticed that our students are getting into these top universities at a much higher acceptance rate. We're talking about 3 times more likely of getting into Ivy Leagues, Oxford, Cambridge. At UPenn, that's 35%. At Stanford, that is 18%, which is extremely high comparing to the single-digit acceptance rate traditionally. And on this next slide, you'll be able to see that we have shared a few students' examples. So Nathan is one of our Indigo students who's completed a research paper with us, published it on IJHSR, and got accepted to Princeton University. His focus was more so on the environmental science side of things. I remember him kind of taking a pH thermometer and going to kind of the water sources in Australia where he was living and kind of just measuring them and then putting that, computing it into the analytic software and actually analyzing this data. And you've noticed that with his activities list on his Common App, he's mentioned this as kind of his crowning jewel, his main thing that he's done throughout his high school years. In the 3 years of his high school, he spent about 20 weeks of the year to 20 weeks throughout the year to do this research project. On the next slide. Another student that managed to get into Stanford University, she was working with a Columbia psychology and cognitive psychology professor to write a paper on working memory. She, instead of going to a publication, she actually presented it at the Brain Informatics conference. And these are another way to really leverage your research findings. Some students don't like to go through the tedious kind of publication process, and instead they like to verbalize it and share with a more wider public and be able to kind of discuss these topics more intellectually with people who are currently working in the industry. So she presented her research finding, and on her activities list, the research was actually the main thing that she talked about, how she spent quite a lot of time really and shared this research experience with over 200 neuroscientists who are adults really, and as a high school student she get that opportunity to present it, and amazing for her that she got into Stanford to study psychology now. Awesome. And on this slide, you're able to see Dalhan's paper. He has actually picked a particular court case to do an analysis on. Some of our students who is interested in the legal system, instead of focusing on maybe comparative analysis, they might want to pick a case that they feel like, I don't necessarily agree with the results of the case. And this is what he's done with the paper. And with this publication, he got accepted to Brown and also UCLA. And he was working with Dr. Christine, who is an executive director at the Glenhead Center and a PhD from Cambridge University. And as you can see, a lot of students do go through the publication route, and we've already gotten so many publications across these very prestigious peer review paper. And we're hoping that for those of you joining us, we'll eventually add to this number as well. Wonderful. And in terms of the mentors that you get to work with, they are really the top of the league in terms of the subject area that they're currently immersing themselves in. When we're hiring this mentor, there's a few things that we want to make sure that they can do. And the first thing is being able to ignite and nurture students' passion, especially as a high school student, it might be a very new topic that you're involved in or engaged in. And we want to make sure that they have that ability to share that passion with students through the program. And the second thing would be their experience in publication. And these mentors that we've hired are university faculty. So the main job when they're hired at university is actually to publish research. The second job is to teach. So they're very good at understanding how do we write a paper that is at a very high standard where you'll be able to publish it and not face a lot of headwind when it comes to the review process as well. So you can see these are top doctors, professors coming from the top universities. In terms of the subject area, is very limitless. So far on the screen, you can see about kind of 20 or so subject, but we also have students interested in very kind of niche things like zoology or maybe Chinese literature. And these are things that we're still able to help students kind of nurture into a research paper because we've got a very wide network of university faculty. Currently, we have over 200 mentors in our network to be able to match students' kind of learning style as well as their subject area of interest. Just now, I've also briefly mentioned that the program is credited by University of California, Santa Barbara. So this is a great way. This is a new addition, actually. When Camilla joined, this is not something that has been incorporated yet. But to this day, when you finish the program and present it at our academic conference, you'll be able to earn 2 quarter credits that are transferable to thousands of colleges across the United States. And you can also include this in your college transcript, in your common application to demonstrate that you've done advanced college level courses as well. Wonderful. And I've noticed a lot of you are asking, so what does the program look like? So we have 3 one-on-one program, meaning you are working one-on-one with that research mentor in a very close setting, similar to what Camilla said. You become really good friends, really, because these are people that have very similar interests as you, but they are probably, maybe 10 or 15 years ahead of your potential career or potential journey that you're looking towards. And they guide you through this process. So with the 10-hour, the focus is a literature review. Roughly the time frame is about 3 months. Researcher is a 20-hour program focusing to produce a full research paper using secondary source analysis, roughly within a 6 months time frame with publication support. And Innovator is our most comprehensive and also very popular program for younger students or students who are looking to really dig deeper into research paper and handle data. So the Innovator program goal is to complete a full research paper using primary source analysis, meaning you get the chance to collect your original data, and it roughly takes about a year to finish. So students who are currently rising, year 10, rising grade 9 is a great time to consider a program like Innovator or Researcher. For those of you who might be a bit pressed for time, IRIS program might be the best call for you. It's a very intensive 6-week course where you'll be guided by university faculty to finish a literature review paper. It's 100% online. You're with a group of 10 students together, and there's a lot of intellectual conversation, discussion, or debate that happens. And it's a great way to kind of stimulate this research process as well. So in terms of the subject areas, you can see on the next slide, there will be 8 different subject areas across computer science, genetics, economics, and psychology. And on the next slide, you'll be able to see there's also engineering, AI, global entrepreneurship, and also the humanities field on international politics and history as well. So depending on what you're interested in, you might be able to fit in one of these. And our students who do the IRIS program also have fantastic acceptance rate. As you can see, Michael did the economics IRIS last year and has gotten into the Cornell University. Another student who's done the genetics course has gone to Johns Hopkins, which is very well known for the medical school. So for those of you who are interested, the poll I think is still on the screen, so you feel free to respond yes. So we'll give you a call and schedule a time to discuss your research interest and how we can move forward with that. Awesome. I've been talking a lot, and I've seen that Camilla has been busy typing away, but we've got still a few more questions to answer. And I think something that I would love for you to kind of verbalize and answer, Camilla, outside of typing the answer, is that now that you've finished your whole application process, right, what do you feel are kind of let's say the top 3 most important experience or extracurricular activity that you've done that has really helped you shine in the college application process?
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of you right now are asking me which are the most important extracurriculars that a student must or can do in order to be admitted. But at the same time, sometimes it's a matter of be lucky. Sometimes there's a matter of that they are looking for something different. So I had really to struggle, for example, when they told me no to some universities and they told me yes to some others. Was like, why? Like, which is the difference? So but I think that the most important things are, so first, it depends on where you're applying. When are you applying? So if you are applying to UK, it's more focused on academics. So it's absolutely more focused on research that you've done, the papers or that you've published, but also the books that you've read, the academics experience, like summer schools. That I went to Harvard summer school. They're here before to Stanford summer school. So and to Cal State LA. So you need to show those kind of things at the same time, or like your scores or something like this. But instead, asking extracurriculars, U.S. is quite different, but also UK in this is good. I mean, especially in the recent years, especially because I wrote this also in my personal statement. For example, the research experiences I did shadowing. Shadowing doctors, shadowing researchers in Houston, at Harvard. So I was able to shadow several researchers, several professors as well. At the same time, also I would say that being a leader in some clubs, or for example, I'm a leader in I was, so now I finished high school, the leader of the debate club at the high school. I joined several competitions at high school, but also on a national level, for example, the bio competitions, and I won some of these competitions. So this is something really important to say in your honor part, because there will be also an honor part. I enjoyed several competitions online as well, so it's important also to show that you are active online, like for example biogenesis, geolock, for example several competitions that also Indigo for, like this the recent one. I didn't join the recent one because it was full of like thousands of things to do, but because I was already admitted to several universities, so I was like, okay, you can take a rest, Camilla. And it was like I remember the SARS SRC competition. So to show that you are active, to show that you're interested, then I created a website. So I created a website to help students do the same things I did, but at the same time to publish their research, to be mentored. It's a website that main goal is to share knowledge. It's a non-profit, so to show our interests, where usually I help students. It's a platform that has different connections with Indigo. I'm really thankful for that. And for example, we usually try to contact professors from all around the world. We have a professor from Columbia, and a professor from the Arizona University and Imperial College, focused on astronomy. So professors of every kind. It's not a STEM-based platform. For example, we had also a Jewish professor, so that talked about the conflict nowadays in Palestine and in Israel. So several different topics, and the main goal of the platform is to show it's as me to let students understand which is their vocation, so what they're gonna do. Over that, for example, I'm a competitive horse rider, so it's important to show also that you balance your time with activities as well, with with activities, with sport, that you aren't only a nerdy man, a nerdy girl, or nerdy man, and that you really like also going outside, maybe like I do with horse riding. For example, other things, volunteering, absolutely. Volunteer is another important thing that you can do. For example, I volunteer at my school, like helping younger students, but also older. That's another thing. My brother can say that also with his classmates, but don't say that to my brother. And also then, for example, I'm part of the Red Cross. So I think that it's there are several things that you need to consider over doing all the research, or being part of the Olympiads, having a really high GPA. It's showing that you are a person that has interests also outside.
Wonderful. I think it's great that I feel like you have got a very good balance between what the UK is looking for and what the US is looking for. What you talked about is that outside of academics, there's a lot of passion project that you run as well. It demonstrate not just who you are as a student, but what your identity is outside of a student identity, who you are as a person, right? And I think the passion project is where a lot of students are able to demonstrate what they care about and how do they want to contribute back to the community. And I think for you, it's a great way of how you got support, from Indigo. And so you leverage that knowledge that you've learned to help other students who are thinking about doing research to go on and embark on their own journey. Obviously, you've also mentioned about working with Crimson first. I think someone is quite interested to know in terms of like how it all started. Did you start with Crimson first and then Indigo? What was the process like?
So the process was that I remember I was skiing basically. It was Christmas time. I was attending the second or the beginning of the third year of high school, and I started like, but why not trying? I mean, you don't have anything to lose. So initially I wrote down basically this. I remember this on Google easily, how to get admitted into the top universities in the world. That's usually how I do that. I do things. And the first platform that appeared to me was Crimson. So I navigated, I found out all the pros, so on. I met several tutors initially, like saying me what Crimson offered, what we could do together. Then I talked about this with, of course, my parents, and they were initially, of course, they were a bit okay. This could be a dream, but this can become true. They were like, of course, initially a bit. They asked me, but are they expert in that? And I was like, okay, this is a really big platform, so I think so. And we decided to buy the package of all like possible of we decided to buy basically the package that included the support for UK and US applications. So but not for all like universities I applied to, but only for 5 US universities and 5 UK universities. But you know, for UK you can apply only to 5 universities, and that's what I did. For US, you can apply to as many to 20 universities into the Common App, and then you can apply to all the universities into the UC, so California universities, and then there are like MIT, for example, Georgetown. They have their own platform. So thanks to the expertise and thanks to all like the learnings I had from Crimson, I was able to apply alone, we can say, to all the other universities. Being able, for example, I was able somehow to reuse some of the essays we wrote together. Although each university, probably they will say you this, you will be able to use again your essays. It's wrong, because each university is looking for something different.
Yeah.
Maybe you can use part of your essay, but you need to write also another part. I'm absolutely sure of this. I'm sorry, but that's it. And also after that, in this package, Indigo was included, 10 hours with Indigo. And initially I talked with my Crimson mentor, my ECLs, who were the extracurriculars, and he mentioned me, okay, you can do this with Indigo, like publishing, like writing papers, so on. And then there was the first meeting with Jonathan. And after that, we started working, and so it was like included in Crimson. And after I absolutely like took immediately the chance to publish, and that's the story that I told you before.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Camilla, today. I think that's most of the questions that we've got asked. If you've got any other questions about the program or anything, Alyssa has just dropped the WhatsApp number for our business account. So feel free to message us if you've got any questions. But for those of you who have requested for consultation, I will be calling you on Monday. So please be able to watch out of your phone. If I'm calling you, I'll drop you a WhatsApp as well. But we'll also immediately send you an email. If you're ready to book a session, there'll be a link for you to schedule a session. Just pick a time on the link that suits you. But we're very excited to speak with you. And thank you so much again, Camilla, for sharing your very invaluable insights, and good luck to your decision making. I hope and I know that you'll find the best suited university for yourself, and we'll keep in touch.
Of course. So so thank you very much for of course attending, to all of you, and I hope you of course will take this wonderful opportunity, because it changed my life. And of course I just 2 days ago I was going to LA, then to come back to visit Caltech. And basically from zero I started crying, saying there's something that I want to share because I think it's important. I started crying alone. There was me and my dad basically only, and started crying alone. It was like, oh Camilla, what's that? And I was like, I did it, Dad. We are in a plane. We're going to one of probably the top university in the world. So, you know, you can do that.
Absolutely. And you deserve this with everything you've done. I'm glad that you're making the dream come true for yourself. You literally did. And congratulations once again. And I'll see everyone very soon with our upcoming webinars. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye to all of you.